The First Coast's most accurate forecast from the First Coast News Weather Team, certified by Weather Rate, sponsored by AC Designs.
Good afternoon, folks, and welcome in here. Happy Friday to you. Meteorologist Ross Mumal. As always, with our daily 4 o'clock stream here on First Coast News Plus. Another pretty hot, steamy, sultry day out there across the First Coast. Temperatures for many of us anywhere from the low 90s even to the upper 90s. Jacksonville, specifically up at the airport, has already hit 97 degrees earlier today, but currently sitting at 81. We'll discuss why exactly that is here now in just a second or two. Elsewhere, then, when you factor in the humidity, real field temperatures up to 108 in Brunswick, 111 in St. Simon's Island, one of those locations we always look at for perhaps some of our warmest or hottest real field temperatures nearly every single afternoon. 107 in Gainesville, Keystone Heights, Palatka. So, not too many places that you're going to be cooling down out there as we continue to have this heat advisory in effect for all of our First Coast counties. So all of southeastern Georgia and northeast Florida here, that runs until 7 p.m. So another 3 hours in that heat advisory for those heat indices upwards of 112 degrees real field temperatures. So why are some locations a little bit cooler? Well, we got some thunderstorms out there today. As expected, we were, anticipating, at least at the very minimal or at the very least, some isolated storms, if not even some scattered thunderstorms. And that's kind of what we're seeing down across, portions of northern Bradford, northern Clay County, southwestern Duval, western St. Johns County as well. So you see just to the south of Mandarin there near Julington Creek, a little bit of some shower and thunderstorm activity, but really building south from Oakleaf. So just to the southwest of Oakleaf, really west of, I believe that's Highway 23 there in northern Clay County. Southwest of Oakleaf down into Middleburg there now. We have some thunderstorms, some lightning. Wind gusts within these storms pretty much anywhere from about 25 to 35 miles per hour. They were given a special weather statement, essentially, for wind gusts upwards of 40. But the storm cores within these have not been looking all too impressive as of late. So really, I'm thinking you're probably looking more so at about 30 to 35 mile per hour winds and gusts. But even Union County getting in on a little bit of that thunderstorm action. Southern Baker County as well. So many of these are kind of backfilling right along some of those boundaries out there. So south sides of the I-10 and Interstate 10 there, south of Sanderson and McClenny, seeing some thunderstorm activity. So be mindful of that if you live to the northwest of Lawton or northeast of Butler out there in Union County. Do have some thunderstorms in the area. Elsewhere, a little bit further northward, we go up towards the Jacksonville airport, and there's a very nice thunderstorm pretty much right over the airport. So Pecan Park, River City Marketplace, over towards Biscayne Boulevard, that northwestern corner of Duval County in the Jacksonville area, north of the Trout River, currently seeing some very heavy rainfall. And wow, a lot of lightning in that thunderstorm. We'll continue to see if that continues to strengthen and develop here over about the next 15 to 20 minutes. Also, we did have a thunderstorm up towards Yulee, kind of heading its way right out towards Fernandina Beach, but that seems to be weakening just a hair as the core of the storm stays, again, a little bit further to the south and southwest there, right over the Jacksonville International Airport. So it'll be interesting to see what those rainfall totals are, racking up to be here over the next couple of minutes or even hour or so as the rain falls. Overall rainfall rates that can be seen or expected in some of these thunderstorms, really anywhere from about 2 to 2.5 inches per hour. Overall, the atmosphere is a little bit juicier today than perhaps it was yesterday. So could see some locally heavy rain, not only today, but also for your Saturday, tomorrow, scattered to numerous thunderstorms expected after really lunchtime tomorrow. But to even fine-tune it more, I would probably say after 2 p.m. up until 7 o'clock, we'll be watching for some of those showers and downpours and thunderstorms to develop, some of which could be on that strong to severe side. So we could see some 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts in isolated thunderstorms. And some of those could also be somewhat slow moving as well. So the heavy rainfall could lead to that localized flooding potential, especially in some of those low-lying areas and those flood-prone locations that have recently received some heavy rainfall as well. So nonetheless, you see it right there, weather impact alert from 12 until 7 p.m. for that chance for rain and thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon and evening. As I said, probably the best chance to really see some rain, or the strongest storms, will really be after about 2 o'clock, and then that will continue through the late afternoon and into the early evening hours and that dinner time hour. So we're going to take a closer look at that. Before the rain comes, though, it's going to feel very similar to what it felt like out there today. Now, perhaps temperature-wise, not going to be nearly as warm. Again, I mentioned at the top of the stream, we hit 97 degrees at the Jacksonville International Airport earlier this afternoon. I've got a forecasted high of about 93, but still feeling anywhere from about 105 to 110 degrees tomorrow afternoon. The humidity just going to be incredible. Still very, very oppressive. So I would not be surprised if the National Weather Service issues one last heat advisory here for this week, meaning for your Saturday tomorrow. So we'll let you know if that is issued, but more than likely, if I was a betting man, I would say the National Weather Service does issue that heat advisory one last time there for your Saturday tomorrow. Well, back to the storms at least. I would say from the intercoastal east, you probably have the lowest chances for rain tomorrow, but even that is still about a 40 to 60% chance. The rest of us, so pretty much just think I-95, up and down I-95 and westward the whole way out towards Columbia County and the I-75 corridor. Many of us going to be looking at about a 70 to 80% chance for rain and storms as you head throughout your Saturday. So first half of the day, as I kind of already alluded to, incredibly humid, although temperatures by 10 a.m. are going to be in the mid 80s, already feeling like the low to mid 90s. And that's kind of been the trend here all week, right? So there's a lot of moisture and heat and energy available out there in the atmosphere for some thunderstorms to begin to develop later on in the day. So here's 1 o'clock. You can see some of those storms not only beginning to fire up along the sea breeze itself, but also we're just going to have kind of some scattered convection bubbling up throughout the early part of the afternoon, primarily because there is a very weak surface low situated just off the east coast of North Carolina. Extending southward or southwestward from that surface low is a broad area of low pressure, or what we call a surface trough. We've had a lot of these in place right over the first coast for really a large portion of the summer. We've had it set up at least 2 or 3 weekends here over the past 6 weeks. And what they really just do is kind of act as a focal point for low-level moisture convergence. So there's more moisture at the surface, also in the mid-levels of the atmosphere, which raises that precipitable water value, meaning the rainfall rates could just be higher in general. So the chance for heavy rainfall is going to be greater. But besides just the moisture, also just kind of add some extra instability, add some extra lift to the thunderstorms out there as well. So because of that, we're between the moisture, the extra instability, and the lift that surface trough is providing, that's why we're expecting a higher or larger area of coverage for the rain and storms throughout your Saturday tomorrow. So really shortly after lunchtime, we're going to watch those thunderstorms begin to develop. There's 3, 4 o'clock storms continuing. We'll watch the storm motion. There's not a whole lot of steering flow aloft in the atmosphere. So I think some of these storms, at least those that start along the sea breeze, will generally push westward out towards I-75. But there are some models that also show many of them building south along the actual, sea breeze front or gust fronts and building southward as the evening wears on. So we'll kind of see which of those actually comes to, fruition. But nonetheless, expect a good chance for some rain and thunderstorms as early as 12 p.m. noon tomorrow, but more than likely between about 2 and 6 p.m. scattered and numerous thunderstorms certainly going to be on the way there. So that's why we've got that weather impact alert in effect for your Saturday. Sunday, we're still going to see some storms. We're still going to have that surface trough in place. The instability is still going to be there, but perhaps not nearly as much. So we're only going with about a 60% coverage area for rain and thunderstorms there for your Sunday. So we've not issued a weather impact alert for Sunday, at least for the time being. If it looks like conditions are going to become a little bit more favorable for thunderstorms to be more widespread, then of course we'll issue that weather impact. But for the time being, we're going to hold back on that. I think really more so it's just going to be thanks to that onshore flow, you notice the wind's going to be out of the northeast at about 10 miles per hour. We're just going to watch some scattered showers move onshore throughout the first half of the day. And then by the afternoon, you get into the peak heating and the instability begins to increase. Then we'll see if perhaps a few more scattered thunderstorms begin to move onshore through the afternoon and evening hours there on Sunday. So it'd be a little bit cooler, a little bit breezier. Still, though, some rain and storms in the forecast. And if you're planning on heading out to the beach on Sunday, those conditions will begin to gradually worsen starting on Sunday, but even more so by Monday, Tuesday, and even Wednesday of next week. So looking ahead to Monday, not only is it going to be breezy, but dangerous surf conditions beginning all across the eastern seaboard, really, from Miami up to Myrtle Beach. Sea conditions going to be a big talking point. Now, locally here for us, surf itself could be anywhere from about 4 to 6 feet on Monday. By Tuesday and Wednesday, we could be seeing 4 to 8 foot surf, 10 to 14 second period swells, meaning there's a long duration between the actual waves. That just tells you typically the longer the period, the stronger and more powerful the wave is going to be. So dangerous surf for anyone who's trying to get out there in the ocean. It is not going to be pleasant. I certainly urge caution when thinking about trying to get into the ocean through the first half of next week, just with regards to the surf itself. And then also the rip current risk is going to be incredibly high through the first half of next week as well. So I would not plan on heading out to the beach to get into the water. And of course, hopefully you've been able to put 2 and 2 together and realize this is all going to be stemming from Hurricane Erin here now. We got that as of the 11 a.m. advisory from the National Hurricane Center when Erin was officially upgraded to a Category 1 hurricane. Still about 400 miles to the east of the Leeward Islands, but there's certainly a lot more thunderstorm activity and convection within Erin. Not too symmetrical as of yet. And we'll notice here, I think I have water vapor. Yeah, so still off to the west and northwest, there is still some dry air in place. Erin's kind of dealt with this for the entire journey across the Atlantic. When it started off the west coast of Africa, it was over cool waters. There was a lot of dry air around it that kind of kept the storm pretty compact, limited how strong it was able to become. Now it's beginning to move over much warmer ocean waters. You're talking about sea surface temperatures closer to 83, 84 degrees there, just to the east of the Leeward Islands and the Lesser Antilles. So the warmer the ocean water is going to be, the better chance that there will be for Erin to continue to grow and develop, not only at the surface, but also vertically as well. So this is the latest cone out from the National Hurricane Center as of 2 p.m. There's not a whole lot of changes besides the fact that if you haven't looked at this, I guess this would be perhaps a significant change to you. It is expected to not only reach major hurricane status as a Category 3 by this weekend, but even perhaps a Category 4 storm by early next week, or even by early Sunday morning. There you notice by Sunday morning, 8 a.m., this is 125 miles per hour. So that would be 100, or I guess that would still be a Cat 3 technically. I have to adjust where some of these are. The time stamps are at. I think they're off just a hair. But nonetheless, reaching Category 4 status, sustained winds upwards of 140 miles per hour. I mean, that's when you know the winds are cranking out. So overall, still going to turn to the north and northwest pretty much over the next couple of days. I mean, it's already kind of on that west-northwest track. By Sunday, we are expecting it to take a little bit more of a northwesterly turn, and then even more so to the north by early next week. It will stay to the north of the U.S. and British Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico as well, so great news for those folks. But the north sides of those islands, the eastern sides of the Bahamas, of course, still need to be on high alert. There still can be some, small deviations within the overall track of the hurricane. But for the time being, those are kind of the main areas that, we'll be watching for impacts, but certainly, not going to be seeing the worst case scenario for many of those locations. As for the eastern seaboard in the United States, Florida, again, we're really going to just see the rough ocean conditions and surf conditions, but we're actually going to have pretty nice weather here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. It's going to be sunny. It's going to be breezy. Erin's actually going to pull in some dry air to us and will actually provide us with a nice start to next week, besides if you're planning on trying to go out to the beach. Here are the latest forecasts or spaghetti models that have come out as of 2 p.m. today. And you can notice pretty compact or consistent consensus with the overall track of the storm. There's a few outliers that still take it a little bit further westward towards the eastern sides of the Bahamas, and also a few more who take it almost right over Bermuda. But you can kind of see where that mean line or average line is within the overall track. So that has become a little bit more set in stone, at least through Monday of next week. By Tuesday and Wednesday, once it makes that official turn north, then the big story will be how far west is it to the Carolina coastline, or how far east is it to Bermuda out there in the middle of the ocean. If it's a little bit further westward, we could possibly see tropical storm watches or warnings issued for really anywhere from about Wilmington up to Cape Hatteras and the Outer Banks there by perhaps Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week. You notice right there are tropical storm watches currently in place for Antigua and Barbuda, but no watches for the U.S. or British Virgin Islands just to the west of there, or for Puerto Rico. So that is good news for those folks. Typically, some of those watches or warnings would already have been, issued. Since they have not, that's typically a good sign for them. But of course, we'll continue to monitor. The National Hurricane Center may still issue some of those. But again, this is just kind of another look at the track. And this has changed a little bit as well. So this is the tropical storm force winds probability and most likely arrival time for those winds. And that's really what you want to know, right? When is it going to start to get bad? And when, do I need to prepare to kind of batten down the hatches? And typically you should kind of have everything ready to go and be prepared the night before it's going to take place. So for St. Martin, for the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, for Puerto Rico, this is going to be arriving, or at least for St. Martin, by early tomorrow morning. So make sure if you have friends or family who happen to live down in St. Martin or any of the surrounding islands down there, Antigua, Barbuda, have all your preps done before you go to bed tonight. Those tropical storm force winds could be reaching you by 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. But you'll notice St. Martin's only in that light green color. So only about a 20 to 30% chance of actually seeing winds anywhere greater than 40 miles per hour. So not currently looking, super likely. And similarly for Puerto Rico, even lower. That's only about a 15 to 20% chance to see tropical storm force winds. Similar story for the eastern and northern sides of the Dominican Republic. The Turks and Caicos, though, perhaps a slightly higher chance, at least in the long-range outlook, when we're looking closer to Sunday evening, Monday morning, anywhere from about a 30 to 40% chance for folks down in the Turks and Caicos. So still some time to, prep, make your preparations, tie anything down that you need to that might get picked up. But based off of the lack of tropical storm warnings, or watches, I should say, for some of these locations, and what that is showing, the worst of the winds are going to stay well to the north and northeast of many of those islands in the eastern Caribbean. And this is really what the forecast winds are looking like. So you can see the bright pinks and reds there. That's where not only your tropical storm force winds, but even your hurricane force winds would be, specifically in that purple shaded area. You get into a little bit of the orange and reddish color there near the Virgin Islands, but that's only talking about 30 to 35 mile per hour wind gusts. Similarly for the Turks and Caicos and eastern sides of the Bahamas. For us locally, I think our strongest winds will be Tuesday into Wednesday, but even those, for most of us, only going to be about 10 to 20 miles per hour. Wind gusts out at the beaches, I think it's pretty generous in anticipating wind gusts upwards of 30. I would be surprised if we reach that or exceed it. So really, I'm expecting about 10 to 20 miles per hour for Jacksonville eastward, or I-95 eastward. But if you live west of I-95 and you're inland, you're going to have a northeast breeze at about 10 miles per hour. Not a whole lot to ride home about, right? So I do want to stress, our only real impacts here are going to be the ocean conditions. Otherwise, there is nothing to be concerned about locally on the First Coast, whether you live in Northeast Florida or Southeast Georgia. There's nothing to be too concerned about with regards to Erin here over the next couple of days. So over the weekend into next week, if you're one of those folks who often get that storm anxiety, we're trying to alleviate that here as best we can, just with all these updates that we're trying to give you folks. We're trying to cover the storm and give folks the updates who are interested, but also just want you to know that this is not going to be a big storm locally for us. Now, as I do play it out, and I think it goes through Thursday, perhaps it doesn't. Okay, no, here it does. It goes through Wednesday and into Thursday. Look at the Outer Banks. Look at Cape Hatteras, Virginia Beach, up towards the Delmarva area. So Ocean City, Maryland, Rehoboth and Dewey, Delaware, Atlantic City or Ocean City, New Jersey, even up towards Long Island, the eastern shore or the southern shore, I guess, of Long Island, the Hamptons, Montauk even. There are going to be some gustier winds for those folks. So really the rough surf and the rip current conditions are going to stick around through the entirety of next week. For us, it's going to be a Monday through Wednesday event with regards to the ocean conditions. But for those of you who have friends or family further northward, or perhaps you're taking a trip and you're planning on traveling further north there, from the Carolinas, really North Carolina, up through Virginia and the Mid-Atlantic, the Delmarva area, and then the New England states, this is going to be through the end of next week. So even up towards Maine, Cape Cod, Bar Harbor, great place to visit up there in Acadia National Park. They're going to be seeing some pretty rough surf conditions even by the end of next week. And let's talk about it here a little bit. Oh, perhaps it didn't advance the whole way. There we go. So there's a Monday. Surf heights anywhere from about 2 to 4 feet. It's increasing. Then as you get, perhaps it doesn't go out the whole way. I apologize. The key takeaway here is, Monday's about 2 to 4 feet. Tuesday, okay, now we're talking closer to about 4 to 6 feet. And then Wednesday, we could see wave heights anywhere from 4 to upwards of 8 feet. I talked about those long period swells, the high rip current risk. So you folks get the idea. I don't want to just beat it home over and over and over again. Rough surf conditions, dangerous ocean, surf and things of that nature. Just be mindful of that if you are planning on heading out early next week. Elsewhere in the tropics, though, we did have Invest 98L down in the Bay of Campeche yesterday. It was given a 50% chance of development over the next 48 hours and over the next 7 days. But you'll notice now just a little yellow X there. It has now been given a 0% chance over the next 48 hours and over the next 7 days as that kind of wave of convection and moisture now begins to move onshore over far northeastern Mexico and far southern Texas. So Brownsville and Corpus Christi, even up towards, like Galveston, going to see some rain from this. But as this system moves onshore, it is going to weaken substantially. And you'll notice there, they haven't even put a new advisory out on it since 8 a.m. So this is really just kind of a weak area of low pressure that's moving onshore for those folks along the eastern coast of Texas and the far western Gulf. So really, it's just Erin to talk about here for the time being. I will add in some of the longer range models, so we're talking back to that 10 to 14 day range. Both, the GFS American model, the European model, they are showing signs of another tropical wave coming off the coast of Africa. But for the time being, National Hurricane Center not highlighting any areas of concern of late or as of yet. So we'll continue to keep close tabs on that, but even if something did happen to begin to develop, still a long ways to go before it would ever have a chance of getting anywhere close to Florida or Georgia here. So otherwise, numerous thunderstorms and heavy rainfall on the way for your Saturday tomorrow. We've got that weather impact alert in effect. A few more scattered storms on Sunday. Dangerous surf conditions